This is one of those stories, just 9 verses. Jacob crossing a river, Jacob wrestling, Jacob leaving different than he came. That's it. And that's also everything. There at the Jabbok River, Jacob leaves his family, crossing back over. Crossing back because he is frightened of his brother Esau, his brother who is coming forth to meet him with an army of 400 men. He expects him to be angry, rightly, justly angry. Angry at all Jacob has done. This furry, red, sharp-shooting bowman of a brother Esau, defeated by Jacob's cunning, but now coming for Jacob on the other side of the river Jabbok. Jacob splits his herd and wealth up into 2 pieces as a peace offering, sends them forward to his brother, that brother he tricked. Not just wealth, wives, children, all on the other side between Jacob and Esau. For Esau's wrath to reach Jacob, Esau would have to go through herds and harems, women and children, and that river, the Jabbok River. Perhaps Jacob feels secure there on the other side, there alone. Alone until he is not. Rivers are strange things. The evening in the dark is a strange time. Water crossings and the night are, as Celtic Christianity would later call it, thin places. The night is where things appear different than they do during the day, both more obscure and strangely clearer. The dark is for dreams and nightmares and inspiration. Rivers are where you find strange creatures, trolls under the bridge, dryads looking at their image like a mirror, folk living on the edge of society. The river at night is where past and present, humans and gods, things seen and things unseen, have a way of crossing over to one another. A river is a thin, razor-thin barrier between those things. Now I wonder if Jacob, if he even heard the man coming, or was it he ambushed? Did the reeds rustle as he came? Did he make a ripple as he crossed over and met and wrestled with Jacob? Did you know that in Hebrew, to wrestle is to Jebek? Jacob Jebeks at the Jabbok River with someone. He wrestles with his brother Esau, just as he did in Rebekah's womb. In some way, that sibling rivalry that started in the mother's womb is being played out still as he wrestles Jebeks. Is he wrestling with all he'd done to his brother Esau? He wrestles as well with his own nature, what it means to be Jacob. Jacob who tricks and wrestles and always has to come out on top at the expense of someone else, everyone else, anyone else. The long-term consequences of that kind of life is being alone there on the shore, being willing to sacrifice family and wealth and everything else to just save his own skin, to get a win, even if the prize is nothing. But is it not said? He is one who strives with divine beings and with human beings. He's not just striving with his brother, his past, and his lonely present. He's also wrestling with God. The God who formed him in the womb, whether he struggled with his brother or chose not to. The God who followed him through his wrestling and trials and travels and was his God, not because Jacob was a trickster, but because Jacob was. He clung to God there, clung to the infinite in this finite person, clung to God in the form of a man there on the Jabbok River. Then Jacob is asked by this mysterious man, "What is your name?" And Jacob answers. Jacob says, Jacob. Jacob, born with one hand clamped to his brother Esau's heel, attempting to pull him back into the womb so he could be the firstborn instead. Jacob, whose name means supplanter or trickster. Jacob, who continues to degrade his brother once out of the womb. Jacob, grappling his brother's birthright from him in a moment of hunger, selling him out for some stew. Jacob, grabbing Esau, grabbing his blessing from him by tricking his blind father Isaac. Jacob, wresting wives, riches, and more from his father-in-law by hook and by crook. Jacob, because his antisocial actions have estranged him from his family, he returns to his brother Esau, but fears for his life. Jacob is more than an answer, it is a confession. Jacob is confessing. Jacob is admitting, yes, I am a trickster. Yes, I am a supplanter. Yes, I stole what was my brother's and left him alone. No, I have not been my brother's keeper. And in making that confession, in being confronted by the cowardly nature of his name, Jacob is given a new name, Israel. God strives. God preserves. God gives him a new name in confessing who he is, facing that reality, warts and all. Jacob receives a new start, named and claimed by God. Now, to be clear, this name change isn't a rebranding. Coke becoming New Coke, Philip Morris becoming Altria, Monsanto becoming Bayer. That's not what's happening to Jacob. We find him limping into the morning light, changed, renamed, limping towards his brother. We find him squinting a little in the sun as the light glimmers off the Jabbok, as he crosses over to the other side, crosses over to a new relationship with his brother. Yes, Jacob, Jebek at the Jabbok. Jacob clings to God in the form of a man. He wrestles with his past, his relationship with those he's hurt, his name, and his very nature. He steps through the thin place and comes out changed. Night turns to day. He receives a new name. Jacob becomes Israel. The grasper becomes one grasped by God. He is changed, made to limp, to humbly go forth, always aware of God's action that night. He meets his brother, and they are reconciled to one another, embracing one another, becoming family again, and journeying alongside one another again, no longer wrestling to see who is on top. Yes, Jacob stepped through a thin place and was changed that night. That night when Jacob, Jebek, at the Jabbok. Amen.